Welcome to another episode of Purchase to Profits. I'm Seth Ferguson. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss our interviews with successful real estate investors. Our guest today started investing in 1978, and over the course of his career, he has been a landlord, developer, and agent. In 2018, NoteWorthy named him the Note Investor of the Year, and he has earned numerous industry awards. Dave Franecki is with Capstone Capital. Dave, welcome to Purchase to Profits. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Seth. It's my pleasure. I appreciate you having me here.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this interview. I always enjoy speaking with the people who have seen a couple market cycles because they have a different perspective on the newer people, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. It's quite a ride of feast and famine. It's like, oh, really? Oh, let's go. The adrenaline's rushing. And it's like, oh, what do I do now?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm sure you'll have a couple good stories for us along the way.
Some I won't tell, but go ahead.
Okay. All right. So to kick things off, do you want to tell us a little bit about your real estate goals?
Sure. My goals, did you say? Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah.
Right now at my age, and as we're talking about, I'm on the other side of the cycle. But my goal over the next 2 or 3 years is just to take it out. I'd be bored retired. If I went to retirement, I just want to go there. So I'm following the cycle back to where it started, meaning with wholesaling, but really implementing all the facets that I've learned over the course of my career. In this case, wholesaling, seller finance, lease options, all those variables so that you don't leave any money on the table. And if they don't want to go there, I'll list it. Again, back to my foundation.
Yeah.
And whatever the money is whatever it is. We all have our income goals that I'll get into, but it's a lot more than $1.
Yeah. And would you say that your goals have changed over time from your building phase of your portfolio to, when you kind of hit the peak and then to now?
Yeah, that is a good point. Back in the day, it was all, give me the money, give me the money, give me the money, and give me the money. And I personally didn't have a balance in my life. And for that, I've got a couple of marriages to show for it. So now I have my daughter, she's 38, 39, my grandson, he's 4, and I do everything for them. I mean, that's just my balance. So real estate has become secondary. It's not kill, gotta win. It's more of a balance. Am I still competitive? Absolutely. Do I want to win? Yeah. Do I like the adrenaline rush? Yeah, it's fun. Is it an addiction? Absolutely. But I'm tempering that with my personal life. That's just really important. And my health. I had a health issue 3 years ago. I thought, there's a lot more to life than just all the other stuff.
Yeah. And would you say you have any rituals or routines that you go through maybe daily or weekly that helps you keep focused in your business?
I keep a vision goal on my PC. I do it, and I have them written down. But beyond that, I can think back to the 80s with my manager when I was an agent. She said, "You don't need anything. You just go out and do it." And really, I look at it as if you look in the mirror, the person staring at you is the reason why it's not working. So just get a button and make it happen. And yeah, you get frustrated. Yeah, you cuss yourself out. And yeah, you say, "I don't want to do this." But bottom line, just get up and just keep doing it. It's not easy, but you can always go out a job. And I've never been really employable, so this is the best alternative for me.
Yeah. And you had mentioned that now with your investing, you're doing it for the other people in your life. Would you say you always had that in the back of your mind, back when you were starting, or was it a different, when you were asking people, give me the money, what was that driving force then compared to now?
To win, to get wealthy, the adrenaline rush, it was all about it. And yes, my family was there, and yes, they would benefit, but it was all about Dave. I mean, that's really what it was about. And would I hurt people? No. Would I treat them fairly? Yes. Would I give them the alternatives? Yes. But it was all about me winning. Yeah. And I love the thrill of the chase. I mean, I remember going back to my agency days, I'd go into the side office, and at that time you'd write new listings. I got the thrill of just writing those down and going into the office meeting. They put them up on the board, and it's like, yeah, you did it, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say your business is in a better spot now doing it for other people or with the winning mentality from before? What would you say was more successful?
It's better now because I'm more relaxed. I'm not so stressed out. It's
Yeah.
like, the fire. I used to think, imagine you're in Africa and there's one of those wooden bridges or those rope bridges, and natives are coming on one side chasing you. They're going to cut it down. You got to get across the other side. That was always my mentality. I got to get ahead. Got to, the wolves are always after me or whatever the case might be. I was born. Grew up that way. The European culture. That's
Yeah.
just the way it is. No excuses. Not right or wrong. It is what it is. And then you temper.
Yeah. The scene from what was that Sean Connery movie where he's on the bridge, the rope bridge, The Man Who Would Be King, that came to
Yeah.
mind. But
Right.
really good
Exactly.
movie, by the way, too.
Yeah.
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 So do you want to explain, just because somebody watching this might not be familiar with your career, how has your real estate business really changed and morphed over the years? We were talking before before we started recording about how it's morphed and it's coming back full cycle.
Well, in the late 70s, again, going back to what I was talking about with family. So my first rehab, people were going to be moving in 2 days after Christmas. So Christmas Eve, 1978, 10 o'clock at night, I was laying carpet. You got to be crazy looking back. Okay. So I was a rental guy. And then we moved to Maine. At the same time, then I was a landscape contractor in Cincinnati. So I moved to Maine and I thought, I'm going to do this because I always had this dream about being successful. So I started out as a listing agent, and what did I do? Knock on doors. What do you do now? You knock on doors. Then we did cold calling. What do you do now? Cold calling. And at that time, you're going to laugh at this, Seth, Microsoft Word was just coming out. So I was the only guy in the office doing mailings that way. It's like, really? So that dates me. But I was only one, but I went with the gray hairs to get their knowledge. I want their brain. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then my daughter's mother said, I like this Cape Cod, this New England Cape Cod with a barn. Okay, so I knocked on the door. What happened? It was rented. Well, who owns it? Some other guy. Okay, so I called him. There was another for sale sign there. The agent's name was Charlie Weber. Who would I work for eventually down the road? Charlie Weber. But the net is, in terms of full cycle, this particular project really set the foundation for my career to now. So if you picture this, house, 23 acres, out parcel owned by the Maine Turnpike Authority. It's January. I've been in real estate as an agent for 4 months, no track record. We had moved to Maine with $10,000 in our pocket. At that time, I was down to about zero. I cut a contract to buy the house in 5 acres, FHA 2% down to close in July. The other, I think it was 10, no, the other, I think what we do, I think I bought 19 acre house in 18 acres. I bought on paper, sell or carry. So the house, 68,000, the land, 90,000, lot release. And guess what? It all worked. But in low interest rate, so I started selling individual lots. And then I had this dream about putting in the street and and all the utilities, and it all just worked. Did a land swap with the Maine Turnpike Authority. They wanted more frontage. I wanted a piece of ground, so it made my piece contiguous. So I just started piecing it together. I had no clue what I was doing. So after selling 2 or 3, I went to Maine Savings Bank and got 100% financing to put in the streets and utilities. Again, I didn't know. Did cram downs on road contractors. Nope, I want to pay this and that's, it just worked out.
Yeah.
So from that point, go back to agency. What did I do? I packaged up 7 of them, sold them to a builder with the understanding they gave me the listings. I double dipped most of those. Then we built a few ourselves. And then the very last lot I sold, sell or carry. So it's got this theme all the way through. At the same time, I'm building agencies and working with other developers to get their projects through the planning boards, marketing them, and just the cycle just kept through like that.
Yeah. Well, what gave you the idea to develop that? Like, were you speaking with somebody or had you seen somebody do any development in the past? Like, how did that even enter your mind at the time?
It was just a dream. I didn't know anything. I was 35 years old. I didn't know nothing.
Yeah.
It just swagger. Would I do it now? Probably not. But when you're young, you have nothing to lose. But it was a total focus, total ADD focus. I'm going to get this done.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think that's a good message, because even though you didn't really know what you were doing, you still went ahead and did it anyway.
right. And I made a mistake. I mean, I think the first
Yeah.
lot I wanted to get up a spec house, and we hadn't finished the plotting of the different lots in terms of putting the pins in. So said to the builder, well, I think the foundation's the lot line is here. Put the foundation in to learn that it was on the lot line. And the city wouldn't change the plot. We had to tear it down and redo it. So that was a huge mistake. I learned from that.
Mm-hmm. No.
But I also incorporated my landscaping into the design, because I had this dream of this development, all these New England Cape style homes, just whatever. But it was just following the dream. But the bottom line is the marketing, the open houses, the building, the development, the knocking on doors. What am I doing now? It's no different.
Yeah.
I had a team, no different than like with scouts. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say, you mentioned, the cold calling, the contact with people, that doesn't change. Like, real estate is still a full contact people business.
Absolutely.
Unless you're talking with people, you're not going to do anything.
I mean, it's digital. I mean, here you and I are on this podcast, and that's the digital stuff is challenging for me, because I know the other way. But it's still people. If you don't connect with the people, the eyeball to eyeball, if you can't negotiate, if you can't meet them where they are, I'm doing a meetup for property scouts this Thursday, and one of my slides is, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth. You use them in that proportion. If you don't meet the other people's needs, it's not going to work. When I bought that piece of dirt, I met the seller's needs. He needed immediate cash, and he was willing to hold paper because he wanted some cash flow, and he was motivated. It's the same drill. Nothing has changed.
Yeah.
It's identical.
Yeah. And since 1978, the market, we've seen some good times and some bad times in the market. How has those market shifts impacted your business and what you focus on during each stage of that cycle?
I'll take it to where it is now. So we are now, as a matter of fact, I was just completing a slide. I do a meetup for notes every Wednesday. And I was just completing a follow-up to last month's group. And there's a site called wolf.com. It's a really great site for where economics are and where it's going. So it's talking about how cycles run every 5 to 7 years. Where are we now? Year 10.
Yeah.
So when I was building in Tonopah and Buckeye outside of Phoenix here in 05 through 07, I thought life is good. Construction real estate is 35% of Phoenix's economy. What can happen? Global. Knocked it out. Real estate is global now. So I don't care what's going on here. Global will impact it. So what is, I'll use an analogy. Have you ever gone skiing, Seth?
I have.
Okay. So if you're going down an A mountain, and there's a lot of mogul, are you looking at the mogul in front of you or the one 3 down?
You want to be looking ahead.
You do.
Yeah.
Same thing now. You've got to look ahead and look left and look right. But I also use the rear view mirror. But I use the windshield because that's bigger. So I'm looking at things like right now, I'm pulling my horns back. I'm getting rid of stuff I don't want to keep in the case of a downturn. I'm being cautious and conservative because I've been bit twice.
Yeah.
And that's no fun.
Well, do you want to tell us a little bit about the not so fun times, because
Sure.
some people haven't even experienced this yet?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'll go back to 07. I had built 50 houses out in Tonopah and Buckeye, which is, again, west of here. And to that point, the market just totally stopped. Totally stopped. And I'm thinking, what the frig am I going to do? 11 months with no money. Dirt mortgages, house mortgages. Okay. So I had 3 unsold new homes, little land contract or lease option, thought that would work. Well, the market kept dropping because I had so much equity in them, I didn't want to walk away. Shame on me. I should have just dumped them. Okay. But 11 months with no money. So then there was a seminar cat, Jack Miller, and a lot of other proteges around here. You may have heard of Pete Fortunato or folks like that, Walter Wolford. So I went to a Jack seminar. He said, what do you do in a downturn? You manage government properties. What's an REO agent? He managed government properties. So I transitioned from being with no money for 11 months and having, gosh, well, let's just say more than one foreclosure behind me, to selling bank-owned stuff with Fannie Mae. Transitioned from the building and developing, but use that knowledge base. Fannie Mae was hiring REO agents. They put me on, a neophyte in that arena, and I sold close to 900 homes as an REO agent, back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you can't, if you get stuck in the box, don't go there. When they're offering 85% loan to value, hard money loans, something's wrong. Somebody's going to get caught with that. Yeah. So it's just backing down. When you're doing hard money lending, go down to 60% loan to value. When you're buying notes, 60% loan to value or less, be cautious because the backside is really tough.
Yeah. And so for you right now in your business, like you said, you're pulling back the horns, you're consolidating a little bit. Are you looking to, are you kind of stocking up your war chest right now for once we hit that dip?
Yeah, I have some properties in my IRA, and I'm liquid those to have cash.
Yeah.
But more specifically, there's a lot of 3% loans out there. So if you look at short sales, pre-foreclosures, a lot of those folks are going to hurt down the road. So I'm marketing in that arena to do the subject twos, to do the lease options, to utilize that 3% money.
Mm-hmm.
It's a big benefit. And then developing an army to work with me, an army of, door knockers.
Yeah. And how successful has that team made your business, that army of door knockers? Would you say that has been pretty instrumental to your success recently?
TBD. I'm just developing that.
Okay.
But I've seen it. I just didn't want to do it because of all the work. But there's another investor here in town. His comment was, if you go fishing, where do you go? You got to go upstream. So I'm going upstream.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good analogy.
Yeah, I thought it was too. I think it was excellent.
Yeah. So, but besides that first development deal you did, is there one another one that stands out as one that made a big impact?
Yeah, okay. I did a probate one in Rio Rancho, New Mexico, back 70 years ago, and my wife at the time, we were looking to get outside of Phoenix, so we went to Boise. We went to Albuquerque, and we went to Austin. So we found an agent there, Jesus Esparza, and we said, Jesus, let's do something together. So he found a probate. And we worked out our participation agreement, and we made $100,000 on it. And right after that, I was building and developing. I was typically making $50,000 to $100,000 in those homes too. So those stand out in my own mind in terms of being total wins.
Yeah.
And then doing that with the REO, when you sell 300 houses a year and you're the only agent, do the math on that. That stands out in my mind too.
Yeah. And how has those experiences changed your mindset in how you approach real estate and your business?
Okay. The building and developing, I hired a builder, bought the dirt, the split, and then just sold it. I don't want to be involved. So that taught me that worked well. The REO taught me that I can manage a staff and be my own guy because I'm still greedy. So I didn't want to give it away. So I was the only agent. Okay. So I had a staff of 5 managing just moving the transactional part of it around. That taught me I can do that. So I'm now moving back to that perspective where I just hired my assistant, Becca, and then we're moving into others. So it taught me that I could do that over and over again. When you do it once, you can do it a second time and a third time. With one house, you can flip 2, you can flip 10.
Yeah.
But also what I'm learning is that because of my age, I don't want to learn all the digital stuff, but I can hire somebody to do that. So what I've learned along the way too is you have a mentor. So I've tied into a strong mentorship. Wasn't cheap, but I'm following their model. Part of which is to be using this podcast to help me with my branding on Bigger Pockets and Facebook. Thank you, Seth.
You're very welcome. But that's so important because, finding a mentor, and that's a very consistent message from all of our successful guests that have come on. Because with a mentor, they can give you a blueprint that they have used to succeed themselves. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can learn from their mistakes. You can see what they're doing now. I think for anybody watching this who is new, experienced, or even has some experience, finding a mentor who is, those 10 steps ahead of you is the best thing you can do.
It's everything. Yeah. I mean, I signed in with, well, I won't go into the name. I guess it doesn't really matter, but they have a model there. They have a template. So as RIA, which is the local RIA here, one of the largest ones in the country, 6 years ago, Eddie spoke from Note School. That man has had a dramatic impact on me with his training. Is it cheap? No way. But what I noticed with this last presentation in November, I thought, darn, after 2 hours, I'm on the edge of my chair. They hooked me. In my own way, kind of really thought, oh, man, they got me. But logic, having been through, seen a lot of presentations, it just made a lot of sense. So again, the mentorship is key.
Yeah. And what other advice would you give to somebody who's maybe hesitating? They have that dream like you had when you first started out, you had the vision, but they just can't get themselves to take that first step. What would you tell them?
Just do it.
Yeah.
Just totally do it. Not be totally ready, fire, aim. A lot of people are like that, and you'll pay the price for that. I've done that. But maybe ready, aim a little bit, you can't know it all, and then fire. Yeah. So I'll relate it this way. So I had been out of flipping for a while, for 10 years, and notes were kind of softening up. So over the last year, I've been going to a lot of different meetups, getting re-educated to get the old cobwebs out, to find out what the new is. So we have some basic knowledge, but partner with other people. In the note business, I partnered with people all the time because they wanted my brain. There was an investor from my meetup, Renee. He wanted to know the note business. He became a primary investor. Yes, he made money, but he wanted my brain. Mm-hmm. What did I do back in 1984? I got together with all the other old geezers that were my age then because I wanted their brain.
Yeah.
It's so critical. Now, what you're doing, the branding is excellent too, because that's why you're doing the podcast. Oh, with me and my meetups, it's the same thing. Branding.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially right now, it's all about the value you're giving to other people.
Agreed.
So that's being a big shift in the marketing side. It's not, so it's all about giving first, and then that'll come back to you eventually down the road.
Yeah. One other thing too, Seth, I think it's really important. There are 2 books that had a real pivotal effect on me as a person. One was Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't care how long ago it was written. As we said earlier, it's about people. Yeah. And then Percy Whiting, he was a protege of Carnegie. He wrote the book, The five Effective Steps of Selling: Attention, Interest, Conviction, Desire, Close. When you're working with people, you've got to relate. You got to have the eye contact. You got to mirror. Yeah. You also got to negotiate. So what else did I do in the last year? I took some other courses in negotiation because I felt I was weak there. It may come naturally, but you can't be combative either. You can't be obnoxious about it. Yeah. So I think between that, and then of course the marketing, without the leads you have nothing, and that's more in your generation to figure that out than me. Yeah. But those are really key. You got to have the people skills.
Yeah. And I think it's important too to, you started in 1978 and you're still taking courses to upgrade your skills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You think the world's changing so much. Yeah, you might have a lot of old folders, but they get dusty. New ways, there's better ways. I acknowledge that. I mean, it's all good. Have I been a Donald Trump or whoever developing like that? No, I'm happy where I am. Would I like to be? Maybe, but not maybe either, Yeah. But the point is that you just be who you are. No airs, no BS, no arrogance. Just be a person. Yeah. Have a drive, have a dream, and it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all good.
So how has the real estate dream changed your life, and how have you profited from it?
I've learned that it's not all about what you make today, it's what you keep for tomorrow. So the other tidbit I'd give is, even at your age, I'd start a Roth IRA and an HSA, and I'd develop those. If you have kids, I'd use a Coverdell IRA or ESA and invest out of those. Don't go to the feds. You don't have to do that. You could still have the same bottom line. You can still have your trips. Also, be what I call a good law-abiding citizen. Follow the tax rules to the T and use those to your advantage lawfully, and that it'll work really well. Other than that, if you just follow those, and the big thing is don't get caught by the cycles, and protect your assets from personal situations, as we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, I'm sure you can write a couple books on that on that topic. Yeah.
Don't want to go there right now.
No, no, but those are landmines, and so anybody building a portfolio, seek legal advice about how to avoid those landmines if they do come up.
The other thing too, Seth, is think of what you're worth an hour. So if you make $350,000 this year, divide that out by the number of hours in the year.
Yeah.
Whatever that number is. So if that particular task is not generating that kind of return, delegate it out. I didn't do that in REO days. I thought I was being smart, and I wasn't. But delegate them out. Have a team to do those things for you. Even though it might cost you a little bit now, you'll be a lot better later. But if you keep that in mind, what are you really worth an hour? How does that meet your goal, your dream? All you need to focus on, and get rid of the other. Just get out of your head. Don't take a hammer to the job. Have somebody else use the hammer. Don't do all your own rekeys like I was doing for a while. Hire it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that will allow your business to scale because you're not holding it back at that point.
Agreed. Yeah. I could have done a lot more in the REO days had I had that mindset. It is what it is. You can't change it. You can't go back.
Nope, you can't.
And the other thing is, even on rentals, so I am not a big guy in rentals. I'm just not the one. But get a manager. With notes, we always use a servicing company. There's a reason for that. It just makes it easier, better. Have somebody else do it for you, all those mundane tasks. I know me, I'm a horrible manager, but get somebody else. It's better.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really good lesson. So Dave, if somebody's looking to learn more about what you're doing, where can they find you?
Well, there's actually a couple places. My note website is capstonecapitalusa.com. My property website is quickpropertybuyers.net. And then on the seller carry side, I have seller-carry.com.
Perfect. And we'll make sure we put all the links right down below so people can check it out.
Yep, for sure.
Perfect.
For sure.
Well, Dave, I just want to say thanks so much for taking the time today to share your real estate stories with us.
Seth, it's been a blast. I can't believe the time's already over. It's been fun. You're very good at what you do.
Well, hey, time flies when you're having fun. You were a really good guy to talk to.
Yep. And one last tidbit. Go for the low-hanging fruit. That's the most profitable.
That's a good one. So perfect. Well, thanks again. And to you, our viewers, I wish you well in your journey from purchase to profits. See you next time.
Thank you, Seth. Bye.